So didn't take long for the bus company. They met with us and said, but we would say we won't get us a driver. We're not going to ride. We had things put away under control. So we learned then that we had some power. So the bus company, they had to park the buses completely. Because there wasn't enough white drivers, people riding the bus to run them. Maybe they had one or two, but maybe they had to park them. And so that gave us, and so we began to look at the power that we did have.
Reverend Thomas Linton was born in Greene County, Alabama, deep in the heart of Jim Crow. When he moved to Tuscaloosa to attend Stillman College, little did he know that he would become one of the most important people in the history of the civil rights movement in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. From a world filled with lynching, segregation, and violence, Reverend Linton would one day work with Martin Luther King Jr., a coalition of black and white ministers, and the Attorney General of the United States, Robert Kennedy.
But I came up here going to school at Stillman. During the summer, I was going to start the school when school started. I had a job doing construction work. And to tell the truth, they was building McKenzie Court during that time, and I was doing some work there. And I left McKenzie Court one day because we catched a truck downtown there where the bank is. And on we were bound to get truck to go home. I picked up a golf ball, and I was bouncing ball, came by here, and this was a barber shop. That was a barber working here, came from where I came from, and he knew I cut some hair. And I passed him one day, and he stopped me and said, "Hey, come here a minute." And he said, "Do you want to cut some hair in the barber shop?" I said, "Sure." He brought me in here and introduced me to Mr. Howard. And so he had 5 chairs, 4 chairs in this row. Yeah, 4 chairs. So I cut him on the 3rd chair, part-time. So that was in 1951. So I was going to school to Stillman, then working part-time. So that's where I got started.
In 1955, Rosa Parks, a seamstress in a department store in Montgomery, Alabama, refused to get up and give her seat on the bus to a white man. This was the spark that ignited the Montgomery bus boycott. 1 year later, the civil rights movement won that contest. The Jim Crow signs of white and colored were removed from all Montgomery City buses. The men who owned the bus line did not understand liberty and justice for all, but they did understand money. Students from Stillman College thought a bus boycott in Tuscaloosa might work.
The students at Stillman, they got on the bus downtown, and the driver stopped and asked them to move to the back. They sit down in front. So they just wouldn't say anything, didn't move. They just didn't say anything. So he just took off, and the bus went down 7th Street, came out in front, down to 36th Avenue, and came out in front of Stillman College. Instead of him letting them off, he just kept going. He took back downtown to the bus station. And at the bus station, there was always a group of people hung out there, black men and white men hung out there. And so kind of got a whole lot of trouble when he told them what happened. So the police came, and they arrested some of the students, got away.
The Tuscaloosa Ministers Alliance was already holding mass meetings to discuss and educate people about the power of the boycott. They believed the boycott could work with the buses. Most of those riding the bus were African American, but there were no African American drivers. That would be one of their demands, African American drivers.
We started having a mass meeting, Minister Alliance started having mass meeting every Monday night from church to church. So when Reverend Rogers came, he invited us to meet at First African Baptist Church. So he invited us, said, well, let's have a mass meeting up here for First African every Monday night. So that satisfied us. And believe it or not, they filled the church up every Monday night. So what we decided to do was to boycott the bus company. So we got together on how we're going to do the thing, and you had a whole lot of cab companies in Tuscaloosa during that time, black cab companies. So we had extra cab drivers to meet with us in a mass meeting, and maybe we met with them, the committee met with them, and about picking up people, taking them to work, and there were a lot of people, a few cars had cars, they would take people to work. We boycotted, stopped riding the bus, and didn't take too long for, like, we meet here, people working saying every day we meet here, but a cab driver picked them up here, They pick them at one location, they had to drop them off at one location. That's the way they had to do it. And they charge one fare, just one fare. So that was working real good, and it really worked. So didn't take long for the bus company. They met with us and said, but we wouldn't. So we want to get us a driver. We're not going to ride. We had things put under control. So the bus company, they had to park the buses completely, because there wasn't enough white drivers, people riding the bus to run them. So we learned then that we had some power.
Tuscaloosa was a completely segregated world. There were about 24 different black communities.
In about 24 different neighborhoods. And believe it or not, white people moved the store into those neighborhoods. And if you go there buy groceries, what they did, no black people didn't have any money. So what they do is, like if I lived in a neighborhood, like Steele told me, you get groceries anytime, whatever you need, you come down here and get it, and you pay for it on Friday when you get paid on Saturday. But what was going on? You go to get groceries, you never get a receipt. Whatever you got, they wrote on the book. When you went there on Friday or Saturday to pay your bill, what they would do, they'd take the book and figure up what you owe. You never had a receipt, you never put that on the book.
Many from the African American community did not have cars, and so had no way to get to the grocery store. These stores gave them access to groceries, but with only white cashiers, it gave the store owners an opportunity to take advantage of the poor.
We came up with the idea of people working in these stores and whatnot. There was no black people working. There might have been a janitor, or might have been somebody that lived in groceries, but no cashiers. Same way it was downtown. So we asked them about hiring a cashier. So you making your living off us, at least have a cashier. So they would not give us a cashier in the store. So what we did, say if you don't give a cashier, a black cashier, we would stop buying groceries here. So that started happening, and we started putting out everybody out in town, putting them out of business. And that gave us a whole lot of power. We realized we did have some power as a raise. So we began to try to negotiate with the stores in the community about hiring. And if they wouldn't hire, we would pick it and boycott the store. My legal agent had to find out how the law said you can boycott without being arrested.
People in the community began to realize that boycotting worked. In order to fight injustice, peaceful, nonviolent protests were the best way to win. The boycott became a popular form of protest. The city could not declare the boycott illegal, but they could put rules in place.
If you're going to boycott this store here, business here, you couldn't be two at one time, carry a sign. There could be no discussion in front of the store. You go down the corner, and you could have somebody else waiting on you to help you stand on the corner down there, on each corner. We always had somebody stand on each corner, 2 or 3 people down there. We had a group of people standing across the street over there, ready for anything that went on, But before, and so we would meet in front of the place, and they couldn't talk, they couldn't stop, so just, and that was the law. We'll have white people standing on the side of the street, and they would sometimes throw eggs at you, sometimes they would call you names, or sometimes so we started a store downtown. We didn't do all in one time. We could store downtown. If they wouldn't hire a cashier, we would picket that store, march in front of that store. But I mean, you know that even white people didn't go in there while we was doing that.
These protests forced these store owners into a corner. The store would either have to hire a black cashier, or there would be no customers. And if there were no customers, there would be no money. We
started getting people hired downtown in the store. And my job, believe it or not, everybody that was hired back then, I did the hiring. Because I was on that committee, and they told me, Reverend Linton said, if you send me such a person, if you think we recommend it, we will hire them.
Reverend Linton's newfound position allowed him to work with the Chamber of Commerce alongside Tuscaloosa's mayor at the time, Snow Hinton. But the mayor knew he could not bargain with Reverend Linton publicly. It would be political suicide. So they met in secret. We meet down at City Hall at midnight. And they would have police to pick us up at our house, pick them up at my house, and drop me off at midnight. And we would meet, and they take us home. And so
they called the Chamber of Commerce in on it, and believe it or not, they gave me an office downtown. The Chamber of Commerce made me a member, and I never take it. Secretary, I never take it because I was couldn't hear.
After a while, Mayor Hinton was no longer afraid to be seen in public working with Reverend Linton. The Reverend was now able to use this position the Chamber of Commerce had created for him to lead the streets of Tuscaloosa into a brighter future.
I was good night. Mr. Hinton came here and said, Reverend Linton, I need to talk to you. And so it went outside. He said, he knew my position, how I hired people and how people respected me in spite of the movement going on. In the movement was going on, they was kind of, cause we was kind of controlling. There was a lot of issues, fighting and looting and burning. Cause in the other neighborhood, black boys, they were working. That's all they had to do was raise sand and break in stores. And said, can we get where we don't have that happen here in Tuscaloosa? I said, yes, sir. He said, what can we do? I said, get the kids a job and get them off the street. He said, you think you can do that? I said, yes, sir. Met with Chamber of Commerce and they convinced them, my committee, Reverend Scott and Reverend C.B. Robinson, convinced them that we could do that. So they said, you think you can get boys to work? I said, yes, sir. I went to Master McDonald Hughes over there at Druid High School and told him about it. He said, yeah, I get my boys, I went to Principal at Riverside, same thing. So that school was out there, I believe that Wednesday. That Monday they said, can you get 50 boys up here Monday so we can give them a job? They had a job, they talked to everybody all over the city. I know that Monday told me they wanted 50 boys. They didn't think I can get them. That Monday downtown the Chamber, I had 100 boys out down there. That Tuesday, that's what I said, I did the same thing that Tuesday. That Wednesday I had so many boys that was looking for jobs, I mean from all over here, Norfolk, and police came out there and said, what's going on? And I said, go in there and ask them. And I said, they explained to you why all the kids stay in the street. So sure enough, during the summer we had about 200, right, 300 boys. They had them all over the county picking up paper or trash on the street. The city had them picking up paper and whatnot. Stores would hire them a janitor, whatnot. And that went on for about 3 or 4 years. And you had no problems at all.
Tuscaloosa's newest shopping center, Leland Shopping Center, had opened. There were new stores, but no black cashiers.
And never forget, Mr. Snow Hinton brother, I forget his name, and what was the guy, black guy came out here and said, do you know Leland Shopping Center out there, they don't have any black cashiers at all out there? And they took me to Mr. Mike McFarland, built that place. Ward McFarland, never forget. His office was down there on Skyline, right that overpass over there, right down there, this building, right, that was his office. They took me down there, me and Reverend Scott and C.B. Robinson, and we explained to him. He said, Reverend said, I own the building, so I don't have anything to do with the stores. I don't have anything to do with it, but what you're saying is true. So I'll meet with them and talk with them about it and see what we can do. So sure enough, in a few days, he called me and said, will you come down here? We went down there. He said, I talked to merchants. And the merchants said they will hire 25 cashiers. Said, but you need to meet with them. So we set up a meeting with them. So I met with them, and they told me how many they hired. And this is what they told me. They said, Reverend Linton, so we trust you. The leading store, I forgot what the leading store was. They told me they wanted 5. They didn't want nobody over 36, and they didn't want nobody under 20, I don't know, it's 21 or 18. So whoever you send us, we will hire them. We trust you. And I hired the face 25 at Leland Shopping Center.
Reverend Linton and the Ministers' Alliance had made great progress in Tuscaloosa, but they weren't finished. They would keep moving forward with the Monday night mass meetings.
When we started meeting the First African Baptist Church, man, we had pack house every Monday night. I would tell what my committee had done, for us talking to people about the hiring and whatnot, the stores and whatnot, and the other committee make their reports and whatnot. And we'll have, sometimes we have a guest speaker. A lot of times, too, I would sit there and as we talk, he put everything together and he'd get up and he'd make a speech.
Tuscaloosa had begun building a new courthouse. County officials had promised the African American community that there would be no segregated facilities in the new courthouse. When George Wallace came to dedicate the courthouse, the African American community learned that those promises had not been kept.
Wallace came here and dedicated the building, and that's when they told us it would be integrated. So when went there, they found out that it would say restrooms downstairs, drinking fountains still have white colored drinking fountains. So we told them that I thought she said it's going to be integrated. So then they said, if you don't do that, we're gonna march on it. We're gonna picket. They said, you're not gonna march on it. You're not gonna picket. We met that Monday night and what we're gonna do, how we're gonna do it. All we know how we do it and all and whatnot. And we had a lawyer. Oscar Adams was our lawyer. He said, no, they say y'all gonna arrest y'all if you march. So they're gonna do. So I was sitting my legal action committee up. My job was to contact the lawyer, and. So that Monday night we had a regular mass meeting in church, were packing, running over. And that Monday night, so we go march that Tuesday morning, 9 o'clock, go march. So Monday night, 8 o'clock that Monday night, Tuesday morning. I called our lawyer that Monday night, told him what we were going to march. He said, well, the Reverend said, you know, you came with us today, they say they're going to put y'all in jail, they're going to put y'all in jail. I said, but you know, you can't be there, because your job is your committee is to get folks out of jail. So if you get put in jail, who's going to get folks out of jail? So when they got ready to march, Police Marble and his group came in the church, told them, say, we told y'all you're not going to march, you're not going to march. And they went back out. So Reverend Royce got up and told them what he said. He said, but we're going to march. I don't know what they say. They said they're going to arrest us if we march. If they arrest us, don't y'all stop until you get to the courthouse.
When they came peacefully and nonviolently out of the church to begin the 3-block march, they were met by police and members of the Ku Klux Klan. It was a day that would come to be known as Bloody Tuesday. More people went to jail on Bloody Tuesday than Bloody Sunday in Selma. More people went to the hospital on Bloody Tuesday than Bloody Sunday in Selma.
The minister got it in front and laid out. They stopped him on the front step and arrested him. They started arresting a bunch of folks on the outside because they couldn't get inside. They started arresting, and people started pulling that church. There were people across the street, them baseball bats and billy clubs. They had wrote letters to every organization in the county that they needed help that day. Boy, they beat folks, and they beat folks, and they beat folks running back in the church. They beat folks in the street. I got a call, people didn't know where I was. Said, they beat folks all the way down the street. Kids trying to get back across, go back to school, because all the school kids was out. People from Riverside, Napo was over. They couldn't get that way. You had to come this way. So I came in the back door, came around Elm Street and came up 26 and came in the back door here. You used to see this place, it was just packing full of folks laying on the floor, all over there bleeding and hollering and screaming. Went outside the same way out there. And the white people, the police had stopped them. Wouldn't let them cross 13th Street. Would let them come, boy, folks. Would let them come. And white from all across the community, all of the black, all that black, all of them, they had come together out there. I came in here and I got on the telephone and tried to call a few nurses I knew. They was afraid to come because they'd get fired. Miss Hood said, I ain't scared of my job. And then she came over here. She lived over on Martin Luther King on 18th Street. Didn't take her long to get over here, boy. She came over here. We had to use all the towels up. She sent, I don't know how many she sent to the hospital. They waited on 35. They treated 35. Some of them they didn't treat. And I looked and whatnot and tried to get all that straight. Mr. Howard raising saying because his son had got arrested. Because when the minister came out the pulpit, I don't know why brother did that, his son. When the minister came out the pulpit, he jumped in line with the ministers. Next time and they arrested him with the minister. So I went around the corner because I knew this telephone was tapped. We knew that. I remember when church lived right around the corner, face house around the corner in Madison. They were standing on the porch and people was all up there and people that, and you wouldn't believe it, women and men all standing with pistols, shotguns and everything. Women standing with their arms folded like this. And I got to the corner, the police spotted me. Never forget, on a motorcycle. Hey, come back here, where you been? We've been looking for you all the morning. Come back here. I knew they started walking. And I went to, she's standing on, Mrs. Madison, and I'm standing on the porch. She said, she said, you know, I said, man, you know why I'm phoning in, Reverend? Because she was a member of my church. And Dr. King, he told me, talked to him, he told him what happened. He said, well, I sent the bail bombers there, because it would take him about 3 hours to get there, and he'd get the people out of jail. I said, okay. I called Attorney General in Washington, D.C. He's waiting for me to call. He said, tell me what's going on, what's happening. I told him, explain what's going on, what's happening. And he said, well, Reverend said, I'll do what I can. That promise he made, I'll do what I can. Thank you for calling me. So I was sitting there a while, so I decided how to get back, because the police said they're waiting on me. Police kept piling up out there on motorcycles. So I said, Lord, how am I going to get out of here? I got up, Madison was deacon of my church. He had old work clothes, because he worked at Timerson, drove a truck. I put on his clothes, old jumper and old work cap, and when I kissed him, went back door, I peep, look. And by the time I started out on my knees, I noticed the police's motorcycle stopped pulling off. I thought they were circling around, but I know they kept going that way. So I crawled under there and came in the back door here. So it took about 3 hours to get here. He came here, went down and told me who he was. We went to the courthouse, walked in the courthouse, and they knew who I was. I told them who he was. And he told me he was a bail bondsman for SCLC. He'd get bond people out of jail for SCLC. They said, well, you won't bond nobody out here. He said, why? He said, I'm licensed to bond anybody out in Alabama for $100,000. I'm licensed. He said, well, you won't bond anybody? He said, why? He said, we require property bond. He looked at me, he said, Reverend said he got us. So we went over to the corner to talk, and so he said, okay, ain't no point hanging this. So he said, well, let's go around to this jailhouse. I was scared to go right there, but I noticed when I walked in the courthouse, police see me, he back up. Wherever police see me, he would back up. Kennedy had told him, don't bother me.
It was Reverend Linton's job to get people out of jail. Reverend Linton would have to put up property to bail someone out of jail. Few African Americans owned property.
So I got back down here. He said, what you going to do, Reverend? So I think so. I started calling people that I knew, Joe Malish, and people that knew people down in that part of Greene County, knew people with property. I call people that I know people with property. And like Pierce Washington, Leonard Romulus, he had all kind of land. What's the name up here in front of Stillman? You wouldn't believe it. He owned it from St. Paul Baptist Church, you know where St. all the way down to Plum Grove Baptist Church. He owned every bit of that. That he hadn't sold to people. He still owned it. All the way down to Plum. What's his name? And he could sign a bond. He signed his name was on just about every bond. Pierce Washington was just the same way. Because Pierce Washington owned thousands of acres of land. Then there was other people. So I called those people there and got them together, and we met. And that Wednesday, they got the minister out of jail, so I had some help then in Georgia. Got the minister out of jail that Wednesday. It took me to Saturday night, 8:30, to get the last person out of jail. I had to interview everybody who went to jail. I had to everybody went to the hospital. That's what the lawyer wanted me to do. So that's what I had to go through to get people. Everybody who went to jail had to come by me. to tell me what happened and what happened to them and what not. Finally, we went to court. He had 2 or 3 cases ahead of us, and we had packed the house. So we went in, I scouted him, and Demetrius Newton said, I sat between them. I had my briefcase with everybody's name on it, so when he calls him. So a lawyer got up and he said, I scouted him, I says, Your Honor, I said, I moved, when he called for the case, I moved that we moved the case from this city to another place because we feel that our people would not get a fair trial here. Well, this is my town, this is my folks. He went on, he raised sand. He got up and raised sand again, he raised sand again. So I think he just put on a show. I know he didn't know where he go. After a while, he took his gavel and hit it. But I can't try nobody. Mom said there ain't nobody gonna try him. Catch this bitch.
Every person arrested on Bloody Tuesday would walk out of the courthouse without even going to trial. Bloody Tuesday would be a day forgotten in history books, but remembered by those who lived through it.
If you look at it, our people's, especially young people, don't even know what went on. That's probably our fault. And I blame the ministers for that, because even the ministers today has no concern about what's going on. They have no concern. And some of these young ministers don't even know it, because when I got through, one of the ministers came up behind me and caught me and held me and called all the ministers together and said, come here, we need to talk to this man. So we need him to write a book, because he telling us stuff that we don't even know. But you can't get them to come to a prayer meeting. You can't get them, because some of them won't come to the Minister of the Lives meeting. And that happened. I was speaker. I spoke 3 times within the last 10 years, the keynote speaker. And I did the occasion this year. I did the occasion, and that's what happened. You know, they're so shocked. Even the ministers are so shocked. And how do the kids know anything about what the minister knows? You want to hear the truth? I'd like to thank the University of Alabama. I think they're doing more to bring us together than any the churches are doing. I'm just shocked at what the University of Alabama, how they bring and cause things to come together. And I really appreciate y'all for that.
It has been said that if we don't know history, anybody can tell us what happened, and we have no choice but to believe them. As a society, it is our job to make sure that the next generation knows our history. It is our job to listen to the stories of those who came before us and to use those stories to help build a better world.
We got to stop hating, working against folks, all this kind of stuff. Nation against nation, race against race. Somebody got to come together that we are all human beings.